Chris Paul is always a killer in the playoffs. He always comes to play, and yet he's only made the conference finals once. How is this even possible? Well...
Now he just jammed his hand into Henderson's back is what the guys are telling us. Now they put in Jamal Crawford. He will go to the locker room. Yeah. He is upset. He'll go for an
Not to be able to play in this game with all these great players and enjoy it and have fun, it's going to be tough.
CP might be the most unlucky player in NBA history. How unlucky? Well, let's take a look. This is a timeline of every single time Chris Paul got screwed over. Ready, set, wait a minute, I haven't even told you guys to subscribe yet. I am making videos about everything you need to know about the playoffs. So to stay informed, just take, 2 seconds and click that button. It really helps me out. And trust me, you are not gonna wanna miss out on the videos I have coming soon. These playoffs are gonna be fun. Okay, let's start this timeline in 2005, the year that Chris Paul had the unluckiest thing imaginable happen to him. He was drafted by the Hornets. Most greats go to Boston, LA, Miami, or Dallas, but CP? He stuck with David West, PJ Brown, and, I don't know, Rasul Butler? Yeah, this sucks. Add it to the list. After a pretty good rookie season, the Hornets suffer many injuries during his sophomore year. The Hornets' third leading scorer in Peja Stojakovic misses 69 games. Nice. But it isn't nice for CP. Then, 27 games into that season, Paul sprains his ankle 10 minutes into a game against the Sonics, his first of many career injuries. It's projected that he'll miss 2 games over this injury. Instead, he misses 17. 2 years later, in 2010, Paul tears cartilage in his left knee, an injury that made him miss 37 straight games. The surgery also took place during All-Star Weekend, so he couldn't even go. In 2011, Paul's only good teammate in David West tears a ligament against the Jazz, ending his season. The injury came with just 10 games before the playoffs. And to make matters even worse, there were only 23 seconds left in the game that West got injured in when he got hurt. Because of West's injury, the Hornets fall to the 7th seed and are forced to play the reigning champion Lakers in the first round. Paul plays amazing, but what can you do against Kobe and Pau when your second best player is Trevor Ariza? After this, Paul is done with the losing. He says, screw this, I don't want to battle the Lakers anymore, I want to play with the Lakers. A 3-team deal gets finalized that sends CP to LA, Lamar Odom, Goran Dragic, and Kevin Martin to the Hornets, and Pau Gasol to the Rockets. But the NBA vetoes the trade, which they are allowed to do since they own the Hornets, but still, how many times do you hear about a trade getting vetoed? Instead of the Lakers, Paul finds himself going to the Los Angeles Clippers, probably the second to last team any player wants to go to, right behind the Hornets. Before CP got there, the Clippers had existed for 41 years, and in those years, they only made the playoffs 7 times. For this one, let's add 33 more ticks to the board in honor of the 33 years that Donald Sterling owned the franchise. Oh yeah, Donald Sterling, remember him? The phenomenally racist Clippers owner that got banned from the NBA in its entirety for telling his mistress, quote, "It bothers me that you want to broadcast yourself associating with black people." What are the chances that Chris Paul ends up on this fool's team to help him make more money? Also, just beyond all the racism, Sterling is a terrible owner. He's super cheap, and that's gonna screw over Chris Paul as well.
I'm not a racist.
He's lying.
In 2012, LA's starting two-guard in Chauncey Billups gets hurt and only plays 20 games. The Clippers make the second round and celebrate what will be the least unlucky year they have in the Lob City era. In 2013, the Clippers match up with Memphis for the second consecutive year in the playoffs, something that is super unlucky for LA given that Zach Randolph was probably the only man on the planet that could lock up Blake Griffin in his prime. Look at how Griffin has performed against him compared to other great bigs. It's not even close. Then, in practice before the start of Game 5 of this series between the Clippers and Grizzlies, Griffin sprains his ankle. He tries to play the rest of the series, but is useless for his team, and has to limp back to the locker room in the middle of Game 5. LA loses this series in 6 games. In 2014, JJ Redick misses 47 games, CP misses 20, and Matt Barnes misses 19. They lose to the Thunder in the second round, but this isn't really unlucky. OKC simply had the better team, and outplayed the Clippers fair and square. 2015 looks like it's finally gonna be Chris Paul's year. LA goes into the playoffs with 56 wins, and their entire team healthy. But because of stupid seeding rules, they have to play the reigning champion Spurs in the first round. Then, in Game 7 of that series, Paul strains his hamstring. His team somehow beats the champs, and then they have to play without him for the first 2 games of round 2 against the Rockets. Paul returns for Game 3, and 1 game later, the Clips find themselves with a 3-1 lead. Finally, after 9 long years, this is gonna be the year that CP makes the conference final.
Smith on the drive, he's feeling it. Josh Smith has made this a 3-point game. ISO Griffin against Howard. Terry digging down to double. Not a Rockets there. Griffin can't get it on the rim. He's back behind the play. It's 5-on-4. It is Brewer, and we're tied at 102. Incredible. All even at 102. Houston for the lead. It is Brewer for 3, and he hit it.
Oh. What? That's right, folks. For some reason, Houston's role players go insane in the last 3 games of this series, totally outdoing the way they usually perform in the regular season. In Game 6, LA leads by 17 points, with just 1 minute to go in the third. Then, the Rockets outscore them 40-15 in the fourth, with Harden being benched for every single minute of it. Instead, Corey Brewer and Josh Smith take over the fourth, combining for 29 points. Josh Smith, a man who only shot 27% from 3 that year, somehow shot 75% in the fourth this game. Chris Paul does not deserve this. The failure of 2015 ruins the Clippers. It was only downhill from there. In 2016, Griffin misses 47 games due to a torn left quad. He also gets suspended for multiple games after hitting a team trainer. In the playoffs, Paul misses the last 2 games of the first round after breaking his hand in Game 4 against the Trailblazers. You can see his emotion as he heads off to the locker room. He knows that his team is starting to crumble. That same game, Griffin gets ruled out for the rest of the playoffs after aggravating his quad injury just minutes after Paul goes down. In 2017, Paul misses 20 games of the regular season with a bruised knee and a torn thumb. Griffin also misses 20 games himself after taking a knee surgery. Both are healthy and ready to go for the playoffs. But then, Blake gets ruled out for the rest of the postseason for the second year in a row in Game 3 of Round 1 against the Jazz, this time over an injury in his big toe. Austin Rivers also misses the first 3 games of this series with a hamstring injury. And even with this team being so unhealthy, Chris Paul practically single-handedly pushes this series to a Game 7, where he loses his final game as a Clipper. Seeking more stability, Paul gets shipped off to join James Harden and the Houston Rockets for the 2018 season. He misses 14 games of the regular season due to a knee injury. Gerald Green misses 41 games, Nene misses 30, Ryan Anderson misses 16, and Trevor Ariza misses 15. Still, the team wins an incredible 65 games, and Chris Paul's chances at a ring are the highest they've ever been in his career. Houston kills it in the playoffs. They easily beat the Timberwolves and the Jazz in 5 games each, and Paul finally reaches the conference finals. Now this year is definitely his.
They're going to have to take Chris Paul off of the court. Well, they might have to drag him because you know he's not going to come off the court. But he is hurt right now, limping, walking gingerly and slowly to the sideline.
God damn it. In what will be remembered as CP's most devastating injury of them all, the man injures his hamstring in Game 5 of the conference finals against the Warriors. Houston had a 3-2 lead in this series, but with Paul out for the last 2 games, Houston doesn't even stand a chance against the loaded Golden State roster, who beats them by 29 in Game 6 and 9 in Game 7. You can see Chris Paul's anger on the bench as he is forced to deal with yet another season of injuries holding himself and his team back. Houston loses 12 more games in 2019 than they did in 2018. Paul misses 17 games due to another hamstring strain and misses 24 games total because of suspensions and load management. The man is getting old. Now without Ryan Anderson, Trevor Ariza, and other key players, they stand no chance against a Golden State team that looks like this in the playoffs. They meet up with this Warriors team in round number 2, and they get bounced in 6. One of Paul's only healthy seasons in a long time came in 2020 with the OKC Thunder. And honestly, what are the chances that his only healthy year in forever came in the one season he's actually not on a contender? The NBA gods have cursed this man. And now CP is in Phoenix, where he was healthy literally all season long. But the instant the playoffs started, he gets a shoulder contusion. How many times are we gonna see this trend? His team, which secured the 2nd seed, went up against one of the greatest 7th seeds in NBA history in the reigning champion Lakers. Just another example of Paul never being able to catch a break. But they did it. Somehow, Phoenix beat LeBron James and the Lakers. Now, is this a sign that this season is going against CP's cursed playoff history? Maybe. But as we've seen countless times before, a single injury or wrong step can ruin everything. There have been so many times in this man's career where things are going so right, and all of a sudden, everything just goes wrong. Hopefully, this year isn't like the rest, and this all-time great can finally win the championship he deserves. With all he's been through, he deserves one of those stupid shiny hunks of gold more than anyone. Thank you all for watching. This one was a long one, so thank you for actually sitting through it all with me. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe. It literally takes half a second, and you did make it all the way to the end of this super long video, so I have a feeling you'd not want to miss out on the stuff I have coming very soon to this channel. We are making NBA playoffs content right until the end of the finals. So to stay informed on everything you need to know about this postseason, just be sure to click that little red button. And with that, stay safe out there.